So let's go through a lot of things. Equally, the simple lifestyle I will share with you today can bring resolution no matter what region in the world you reside. The burden. Our invited burdens have caused us to experience every disease at an either equal or higher level than men. Yes, so we have, for example, when it comes to Alzheimer, I will talk more about that. 2 out of 3 is us. Thyroid cancer, thyroid problem, 2 out of 3 is us. Cardiovascular problems, we suffer much more. We have much more stroke. We have much more, when we do have heart attack and stroke, we're in worse shape. We often end up in hospice or in nursing homes and so on. And it just goes on and on. So lung cancer, of course, if we smoke, we have more lung cancer than men. It just goes on and on. So we're meant to be very strong. Of course, we're meant to carry children. Right now, I'm here with women that have 10, 14 kids. And, these women are amazingly strong. The thing is, each child put more weight on, each child changed lifestyle a little bit. And after a while, we're broken. So let's talk about obesity. Obesity feeds every disease under the sun. And obesity has grown tremendously, and not just because of COVID, but it's a big deal. Now what they find, if you want to survive COVID, let's say we get COVID, if you had lost just 5 to 10% of your weight, you have a 60 times greater chance to do really good through COVID. So let's say I weigh 200. What if I lose 10%? Is that a big deal? If I eat a live food diet like we do here, and I exercise and I lift weights, I will lose that. Women will lose that maybe in 4 or 5 weeks, men 3 weeks. No brainer. So obesity, because it feeds diabetes, it feeds cancer, it feeds cardiovascular, it's a big problem. It's called the underlying problem for COVID right now, right? It's people that have perished, you will always hear that, if they had the underlying problem. So these problem, obesity actually also is a big part of causing blood clots, right? So blood clots now is what you hear is being a big problem with the COVID vaccine or COVID in itself. So how we do this here, we have training, we do exercise, like when it comes to resistant exercise, we do it every other day because you have to repair. And you know that every muscle in your body has a memory. And you might not have been doing this for the last year, but whatever you did before, it remembers this, and it wants it so bad back. So when you start training, you start very low with weights, but if you have a trainer, they will take you through this. And then you get higher and higher weights as you can. So now there is actually hormone made by your muscles. First of all, it tells your bones to get strong, but it also boosts your immune system. So everything is linked to your immune system. And if you look at what fats do, fat cells actually secretes inflammation, triggering chemicals, messengers, they're called cytokines. And this came out of University of North Carolina. They said, this is a problem. It actually lowers your interferon. And when it comes to virus that everybody's worried about now, okay, it actually helps. Fat cells helps virus get into your cells, your healthy cells. So you have so many reasons to get rid of fat. And the fat, we have 2 kinds of fat. We have white fat and we have brown fat. So white fat is something we have after the first decade. We're born with brown fat. It keeps us warm, keeps energy in our body. And I always joke, being brought up in Sweden, of course, I always think babies need a ton of clothes. And Our babies are brought up here in Florida, but I would still dress them up to the T, and they probably were perspiring like crazy. But they have brown fat. And of course, mother's milk has everything a baby ever need. It has a different lactose than cow's milk that I was brought up on. The generation 1956, that generation of mothers, young mothers were told, no, mother's milk is no good. It's not enough. You need to have cow's milk and you need formula. And the formula was gluten. And then you had lactose, high dose. And so no wonder we were messed up for a long time of our life. So, we talk about microbiome later on too, when our gut and all the problems that has. So obesity feeds every disease under the sun. Let's remember that. The foods we consume today have been scientifically developed for the sake of hyperpalatability. This gives your brain a greater sense of pleasure when eating your regular meal. Regular meal, yeah. So that would be McDonald's, or I just make pasta, or I make cheese and macaroni or whatever. What they figured out is where our bliss sense is in our bliss spot is in our brain. We have a bliss spot, and as it hits that, it's like pure opioids. And they figured it out. So now if you buy a family size chip bag in one of the stores, you can't stop yourself because they're actually opioids. They're nanoparticles. They're so small, they don't have to be in the ingredients, but boy, you get hooked. So to take a break from that is, you're gonna have some, just like when you get off coffee, you're gonna have some detox time of that, and sense of maybe being deprived too. So we need to have other things. Well, so what we make here, we make juice. So it nourishes you. We have in our green juice, we have sunflower sprouts, pea sprouts, complete amino acid, loads of vitamins and minerals. And then we have celery and cucumber. Celery, of course, with the organic sodium, and cucumber that hydrates you, so fantastic with minerals. So that gives you that full sense. And, we make dopamine when we have that full sense. But normally, if I'm eating one piece of chocolate, I'm going to want to have the whole box of chocolate the next day, because that bliss spot, which really is dopamine, is saying, that's not enough. One is not enough. So that's when people tell me, no, they go to Burger King or McDonald's or one of these fast food places, and they have 3 burgers, because one burger doesn't do anything. And then they have sodas, and then they have desserts, and then they need more, and then they go to the next place. So that's how most people live. It's a vicious circle. And so exercise, 20 years ago, a fifth of women were inactive. Now over half of women are sedentary. And that means all of us. It's, to take a walk in the morning, first thing, a brisk walk, be out in nature, find a park that is safe for you, or go with somebody that you can share time with. And, then exercise. So resistant exercise is 3 times a week. Stretching is every day. And stretching is so important. Yoga and stretching, and then having aerobic exercise every day. Aerobic exercise actually helps you produce more glutathione too. Glutathione is the top-notch prime of phytochemicals, which is an amazing immunoboost. So exercise for sure. Little known fact. Fat in the abdomen pushes up on the diaphragm, causing the large muscle which lies below the chest cavity to compress the lungs and restrict airflow. It actually collapses the lower lobes, where most of your blood come in to get oxygenated. So this is going back to the brown and white fat. So the first decade, we kind of have brown fat. It turns to white fat, and we're supposed to store it in our abdomen. As we were nomads long time ago, If we came out of Ethiopia 10,000 years, we, of course, walked miles and miles. And of course, we obviously were very curious, and we found our way to other parts of the world. I don't know why we came up to Sweden. We always joke about that because that has gone through ice time and a lot of different times. But it's a beautiful place. I love Sweden, never mind. The thing is that we stored fat. We could eat maybe a lot one day. And then the next day, what if we didn't find any food? Well, we had it stored. And the liver, this is so smart. The liver sits on by the last rib on the right side. And it takes the fat that we stored now from one day to another and used it for energy. Isn't that smart? The problem is that now we can eat all day long, many, many times a day. And that's the problem.